What's going on out there, everybody? I hope you're doing great. We got a fantastic guest on today, and we're going to have a great show. And I'm going to tell you, I've been trying to get this gentleman on for like ages. Every time we do it, like the first time was my fault, totally just couldn't figure out the time zone different change because he's over in Switzerland. And then the next time, I'm trying to get on, it won't work. And then even today, we're having struggles. And so I know it's going to be a fantastic conversation. So if you're out there right now, please make sure that you are promoting this out wherever you are listening from. I see we got one person on right now, at least. I don't know all the different channels. I know we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got the LinkedIn, we got all kind of stuff that's happening. But this is going to be a great show. Okay, so where are you? Where are you? Another day is where you are. Another day of learning awakes us all. And welcome to the New Normal Mindset podcast interview. My name is John, registered two-time Olympic trials qualifier, Army combat veteran, amputee, two-time two-sport Paralympic athlete, and silver medalist, and professional keynote speaker. And I'm going to be your host for today. So thank you for jumping on board. We really appreciate that. During the course of my life, I've met some amazing individuals who have challenged me. They've inspired me. They have pushed me, and always to think about things just a little bit differently. Today is no exception. I have a gentleman. He's in the waiting room. He's in the wings, in the green room, who I've just been trying to get on the show, like I said, for a while, and it always seems that something happens. But today we're about to rock it. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel, that you are listening to the show, and if you like the show, make sure you are sharing it with your friends so that we can have a deeper and greater conversation in the whole World Wide Web area. So make sure you're pushing this. If you're in Abu Dhabi, if you're in Dubai, Sharjah, if you are in South Africa, you're in Japan, Tokyo, if you are in Beijing, or if you are in Korea, wherever you are listening to, United States, Europe, wherever you're listening to, make sure you are sharing this out with the world. So let's just jump into this. So the show is going to be amazing. The number one thing about the new normal mindset is that new is no prior point of reference. So why do sometimes we use old systems, old thoughts, old ideas to put into a new environment to expect a different result? It's a definition of insanity. So the normal event is the everyday typical occurrence of a thought or an action. So what are the rituals we have in place that lead us to a rhythm, that elevate us to a rise, that create the desired results that we are looking for? So therefore, the new normal mindset cannot be a destination, but it's only a plateau by which we grow. And this person that I have on board today is just one of those individuals who has elevated and pushed the space of not only athletics, but business, what he does with in his career that he's been over there in Switzerland. And I'm going to introduce you to him right now. There was only one man I was concerned about when I was trying to win the gold medal in the Paralympic Games after only 6.5 years, having lost my leg in a free curling accident. It is the man I have on the line right now. No one goes into a competition desiring to win anything but the gold medal. And my task was monumental. I would have to dethrone the champion. I did not know why some people think that's such an easy task to do. Even when I was sitting in some of the meetings I had over the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, someone would always try to discard and say that the champion was over the hill. No way. Never, ever, ever discard the champion. Well, the man on the phone is the gold medalist from the Paralympic Games. In the long jump, he won gold for the third time in Sydney, Australia. And I admire him before the competition when I first studied him in Birmingham, England, and then at the World Championships. And then I admired him when I saw him compete in Duderstadt, Germany, studying him even more so, having a little camera out there, making sure I saw exactly what he was doing. And I have his photograph. So I took a picture of him when he was jumping, and I put that on my diary and said, this is the guy. This is the one that you got to try to beat. Because I knew if I wanted to win gold, I would have to go through him. And he was not going to just hand it over his throne. So welcome the 5-time gold medalist, 3-time silver medalist. He is now a consultant, motivational speaker, a dear friend and colleague. Please welcome my friend, the one and only Lukas Christen. Hey, thank you so much for being on, my buddy. How you doing?
It's an honor and a pleasure for me to be here, John. In Switzerland, we say all the very good things, they need sometimes a lot of time and patience. And here we go, 8 years. And I'm really touched and blessed to be here.
Oh, wow. I am too, my friend. So thank you so much for being on. We have some folks that haven't commented yet, but they're kind of popping into the room. And I'll probably make some comments when I look down in the comment section and just to make sure that people know that we are on and we have this great conversation going. So you've been really successful in sport. What's like been when you think of the entirety of it all, what's been your greatest lesson? What's been your greatest lesson?
Um, all of a sudden, I became aware that I'm different to the rest of what we call existence or manifestations of destiny. I can reflect on myself. So I become aware of my resources, and I am blessed with the ability to reflect myself and to go through things again, to listen to my heart, to listen to the rest of my resources, and to improve it in order to reach excellence. And it's not about winning or beating my opponent or making the best result ever. It's about increasing. It's about being able to get a quality and an excellence out of my existence. So that's my present, that's my gift to destiny, so that I am given the chance to live, to be alive, and to get access to my resources, and to create something what I call a holistic added value. And that was my inspiration in sports, and I'm transferring that now to my everyday's life when I, like you, John, inspire people to get access to their resources and to become a taste of how to improve it in order to create an added value that deserves the name.
It's interesting you say that because even in the introduction, I was talking about how there's only a platform by which we are to grow on, and everything should be evolving to the next. And so people ask me a lot of times about the medal, and and that for me it's a past part of my life. So I did it, but it's not the main thing I'm focused on right now, right? It was for a period of time, but now it is not. And in fact, I remember, I'm jumping ahead of my notes here. I remember after the medal ceremony, we were in the elevator coming back down, the three of us. And I kind of felt the weight of the medal for the first time. And you said something to me. Do you remember? You remember this? No,
No.
it's a long time ago, you don't. But what you said and stuck with me, and you said, "It feels good, doesn't it?"
Mhm.
And that was coming from this, I realized it was coming from this vast experience that you had and honoring the moment of the time and honoring that off of all the competitors that qualified for the Paralympic Games, T42 at that time, long jump for above knee amputees, that this moment is solidified in history right now. And so be thankful for this moment. And I've taken that those words, and sometimes we don't even realize the words we speak to people that just have profound impact. And those are words that you said that have always stayed with me, even through the little drug testing we had to do, through the plane ride home, when I was thinking about this and contemplating those words on the gravity of the entire moment. And so, but you did, as you go through, right? Because you, as a champion, you did have some times where you had to, I guess, push to succeed. Is there necessity for an adversary? Is there necessity for someone to kind of push you to greater excellence?
Yeah, I would say so, of course. And to me, over more than 20 years of being a coach, trainer, and speaker, I see that every individual is a phenomenon. And what we consider being right for ourselves might be less important for someone else. And if I work with people, I always try to get through the phenomenon um, that I have in coaching or in the audience of my speeches. And to me, the core experience was when I realized that people are able to become aware, and so a high established self-consciousness of, okay, I am in the middle of a moment of a challenge, of a life situation that might be difficult.
Mhm.
So they become aware, okay, it's like kind of a competition, and I still can take responsibility over my resource and create something for the next step. And I have the privilege to live in a wealthy area. I have a good life. I have access to so many public resources, but I never forget that we have billions of people on this planet who do not have these wonderful circumstances. So they struggle quite every day for survival. They struggle for raising their kids, for making the next day to get access to medical service and all that stuff. And from those people, I have learned to appreciate the tiny little steps, and I have learned to become aware that I have a responsibility towards my existence, towards my opportunity to create an added value in every single situation. And it's not stressful to me. Oh, I have to focus on that. It's more that I reach the kind of an inner freedom that I say, okay, every single day I come awake and I go through these hundreds, thousands of moments every day, and I look at life and I try to figure out what can I do next to feel good myself and create a radiation. And everyone who comes into that radiation feels a tiny little bit better, a bit more inspired, a bit more motivated to get the chance that we have in life, especially in bad times. A lot of people told me, well, I don't have more money after our coaching or after meeting you, but I have something that inspires me. And I guess that is something that you, John, do in your everyday life without realizing. But we went through these challenging experiences on our way to the Paralympic final, that we went through so many setbacks and holes and dark hours and days where we kind of increased that consciousness towards our capacity. And that is my job, and that's our job, to inspire people.
You said something, Lukas, and you said a lot in there, and I want to unpack a few of those things that you just said. The first is around the micro moments on how do you do the small level, the small incremental changes that must be done to achieve, whether success in the field of sport or the success in your business. What are those small steps?
Yeah. I consider myself being a life entrepreneur. So I'm the one in charge for my life. So every day, either in the morning or in the evening or at the end of a week, I go through my week and I go through my experiences, and I make kind of a top 10 or a top 20 list. And I do it by intuition and by instinct. I don't do it by intellect. I'm not measuring these moments money related or did I create big business, but did I realize that I touched someone? Did I realize that an atmosphere was calmer afterwards? Could I provide a better motivation, or did I feel myself better?
Yeah.
And that's what I do by intuition and by instinct. And these two eyes are very important to me. It's not only the intellect, it's the inspiration as well, and the intuition and the instinct that shows me the way towards an excellence that cannot be measured. So I go into stillness, I pray sometimes, and I try to go through what I experienced. And in these moments, I get by intuition and by instinct to focus on these very moments that allows me to create that added value in the next time. And that's the way I go into an upspin.
Yeah.
From year to year. Yeah.
It's being lifted like the eagle, right? As the eagle, this rises on the wind above the storm.
That's a good metaphor.
And the sometimes the people that are trying to bring you down, or the ones that's trying to bring the eagle down, what they do is they soar so high that bird of prey can't get on them because they can't stand the atmosphere. So you just keep on lifting up. I love that. The intuition, the inspiration, and the intellect all combining there. I love that. We have Facebook users saying good morning for us. So good morning back to you, Facebook users. I'm not sure you are, But if you are on there, please put something in the comment so I can actually see who you are. The other piece I wanted to get to that you were talking about, in your previous answer, really stems, kind of in this. We're talking about the inspiration, right? And I have a very unique way. I don't say it's unique. It's just I look at it with a lens that I haven't heard quite often, but it comes from the Latin word of inspiro, and that is to really breathe life into, right? So I'm trying to really breathe life into someone so they can move forward. And you said that you're not really measuring through the monetary that you get back, and I don't measure that way as well. I mean, of course, we have to make money and everything, but I'm not. That's not my main focus, because if I do the inspiration piece of it, which I believe is to breathe life into someone else, then some other things will transpire. So talk about the measurement of how do you measure the effectiveness of being inspiring to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. It's very good that you mentioned that. Of course, it's important that we make a certain amount of money to pay our bills, and in certain periods, maybe long periods of our life, that's the core focus, because we have difficulties. Then it's even cynical to talk about creating an added value by inspiration, because you have to pay your bills, okay?
Yeah.
But as soon as I have eaten enough, slept enough, paid my bills, I see it when I look at myself emotionally, and I look at the way I breathe, I walk, I talk, and I see it like people that I come across are my mirror. So I look into their eyes and their hearts, and they show me what's the quality of my appearance. If they react on me open and trustworthy, that's a sign to me, okay, I'm on the right path. So most of the time, it's that I see myself in others, in other people, in situation. And what often helps me is when I'm out in the nature, or when I come across animals, dogs, cats, horses, whatever. The calmer and the more balanced, the more relaxed, the more balanced I go through my everyday life, the more I can create these tiny little added values. So life's not always fun. Sometimes you come into a situation when it's hard, it's competitive, it's cold, it's nasty, and it would just be not fair or not realistic to talk about adding an added value. Then it's just to go on your everyday's work, or sometimes to keep yourself out of too heavy or useless fights. That can mean create an added value when you avoid damage. So life is not every day bright and easy and about added value. Sometimes it's you go through hard times, but still it's the ability to be connected with your intuition, with your inner voice that tells you without being able to measure it. You cannot calculate, you cannot analyze it intellectually. It's an intuition, it's by heart, a voice that I realized over the years that whispers in the ear of my soul what to do next, to stay balanced, to stay my feet, to keep my feet on the ground, and to do my job as a human being.
Yeah. Very, very good. So I really I appreciate that answer. Because I think a lot of folks think that they're doing it on their own, and there's always another force, right? I believe it's God as well that is driving us to our destination. Do we have the courage to walk in the pathway that's been laid out before us? Let's go back in your life. How do you get into Paralympic sport? Were you congenital as far as your amputation, or is it or were you acquired? Did you get some type of trauma?
I was about to become a soccer professional. I was in Switzerland, junior Swiss champion, and at the age of 21, I lost my left leg in a motorbike accident. And so I was an athlete before. I was used to compete. I was sportive. And after about 1 year of rehab and all the stuff going through, I realized that I still wake up at night feeling myself being in competition, and I was willing to compete and to get back on track mentally and physically. And in 1988, I saw a program from the Paralympics from Seoul, South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw these guys running with that leg, and I thought, "Whoa, how can they be able to do so?" And I was hooked. I was kind of hooked. I was given the chance to meet these guys who were constructing these fantastic new legs, and I was given the chance of being a member of the R&D team, so that over the years we could provide for so many athletes good and well developed material. And that's so I became part of the Paralympic movement, and I would say that the foundation was built by the years in my youth when I was a football professional. So when I get the smell of competition and of that sports spirit, so other people get the same, maybe in music or in acting or in
Sure.
art or in literature or in politics, whoever. So you see people with a certain radiation and the charisma. Often they are already in their childhood. They are inspired by role models or by kind of a path that was meant to them. And probably that's for me the same.
Yeah. Did you face any challenges along the way, like hurdles or adversities that would, it's like, just if you just could understand,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean a lot. I mean, in the first few weeks, I stumbled often and I fell, and the protease just broke because it was poorly constructed, and the parts were not meant to step on with 80 kilos, and I got injured quite badly, and so I went through these setbacks and doubts and moments that I thought, what are you doing here? It's ridiculously senseless what you're doing here. And then when I look back at it, that was kind of a strong voice and a determination, not being stubborn. So that's an important difference of keeping stick to your vision and being stubborn. That's an important difference. So over the years, when I got the first when I could compete at the Paralympics in Barcelona, I knew that I was on my right path. But when I tried to be part of a soccer team again with non-disabled people, I realized that would just be stubborn. That doesn't make sense. So even if you follow the path to your dreams and your visions, stay realistic. Otherwise, you become, I would say, it's dangerous. Otherwise, you get nuts.
I there's so much. There are three things that I never go back. I rarely go back, not to change something, but when I go back in my life, it's always for the now moment of what was I missing there that I need now to get me to a different future, because I can't go back and change anything. But there are three things that I did not know that I think would have helped me, right? So when I had my amputation, I became a true above the knee amputee. So I had no way to weight bear on the lower portion of my leg. And so, as we know in mechanics of running and sprinting, there are three forces that have to happen, right? There has to be stride frequency, how fast we turn over; stride length, how long the stride is, and how much force we put into the ground. And so, just by nature becoming a true above the knee amputee, I lost all the force because I weight bear on my up on my hip, not on my knee. So I can't put the force into the ground to create the power.
Yeah.
The second factor was when you talked about falling. So in my mind, mentally, I was thinking, the last time I fell, I lost a leg. I don't know if I want to, how much do I want to push? However, with the knee unit that I was using, there was an extension stop, which stops the leg from going into hyperextension. And I kept blowing that out because no one, like prosthetist, never told me about this. So I lost like 5 months of training because I had to keep sending the unit back to get fixed, to come back, and I'll blow it out again. And the third time they said, why aren't you using the extension stop?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Oh.
And then third was actually when I got to the competition over in Sydney. I was overpowering the leg. I was so strong that the leg would not keep up with me. And 6 days before the competition, my process says, well, let's just get you another unit that has more viscosity, more oil, more density to let your leg return faster.
6 days.
6 days before the competition. I was like, oh, I could have known this, maybe 2 months, 3 months even, to gather the speed that was going to be there to make sure I could actually handle the speed. So all three of those factors, I don't negate or charge that to anyone, right? It's the blind spot that I just had in the process of leading up. And I learned it, and I want to share with other people now so that they can, advance. But also I use that methodology of learning what is it that I don't know about myself, that I can gather a team around me that can see my blind spots to help me advance forward so I don't miss it for what I'm trying to desire to do in my company, in my business. Has there been anything that's been in your life that have been blind spots to you that you now say, oh, I need this in my life now to help others in my company and my business, and that the people I'm trying to inspire, so I don't miss it and cause not the best performance possible for myself or for them? Oh, I think we're froze. Oh no, that's not me frozen. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Lukas Christen. We're going to try to get the signal back because I want to hear this answer. And as we're doing this, we have the wonderful Dr. Janet Palmer. Thank you so much. Wonderful topic. The ability to be a heart with ears into the lives of others is amazing. Being totally present when others allow for the exchange to occur, that creates a rhythm that is powerful for us and trust and develop. So I think what we're going to do is if Lukas, if you can hear me, maybe jump out and jump back in. That I think he just heard me do that. And as he does that, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the relationship that Lukas and I have into today, a little bit in today, because this was the gentleman that was on the track that I was really looking up to when I was trying to go for the medals in my life, right? That kind of top tier performance. At the same time, I was learning about my body, about how to increase, how to expand, how to use what I had and then elevate in this parallel path. So here I'm a world-class hurdler, and now I'm a Paralympic athlete. How do I synonymously, get these two worlds to collide with one another? And so as we wait for him to come back, I'm trying to find my phone right now to make sure he's not coming on me. Lukas was super. Yeah, he was super fast. Absolutely, super fast. And one of the things I was sharing in that moment is, and I'm on the phone trying to connect with him again and see what's going on with his connection. Let's put that in there. Okay, so Lukas is extremely, like this Facebook user says here, is super fast. But he's also fast because he was an athlete prior to, and so he knew the biomechanics of running, and that is something I think that is critical to understanding not only how our bodies, but also what our capabilities are. And he was talking a little bit earlier about going back to try to play soccer or football in European football, and understand that he doesn't play at the same level as the other people. He says that's stupid to try to keep on trying to keep up with them let me go into a parallel existence. So what I really want to get to him is talking about, is there a need to try to come into Olympic and Paralympic sport, and try to have the two come together, or does a parallel path really work? And so hopefully we can get it back on for that piece of the conversation. But going back to Dr. Palmer's question here, that exchange that creates a rhythm that is powerful and trust develops, is we begin to develop the trust one with each other, or in ourselves actually, by the doing. And the doing is, we believe that something might happen, but until we actually do it, it's not there. We don't have it. It's in theory only. And we believe we're going to act in a certain way, but until we're actually tested in that way, we don't know how we're going to show up in that particular moments. And so he says some seconds will be on us, and he'll be back on. So think about that in your own life, right? When I talk about this, I talk about in terms of, in my own professional speaking life, is the commitment that we have to have towards that end. So here's what Lukas is saying now.
We have technical difficulties. It's disconnected. Shall we switch to mobile phone?
Yeah, I'm going to tell them to switch to mobile phones. Mobile phone, yes. Let me put that in there. Okay. And we'll say I'm still talking. So so I'm not sure, but we're still pushing out here. So thanks, Dr. Palmer. That this is, it's a in the chats that I do, in the talks, I focus in and hone in on this very thing that Dr. Palmer is talking about, and that is, do we have the courage to commit to the things that we know to do in life? And I'm going to send him. Bear with me real quick. I got to send him the link on the phone. So just 1 second here, ladies and gentlemen. Just stay with me, please. Stay with me. I gotta find the invite link, and then I'm going to put it into the chat box for him. And we'll probably we'll just have to cut this out of the StreamYard interview. StreamYard.com/8 Echo 3 8 C 9. Okay, we just sent the link, and should be back in. So here's the deal. So there are three kind of definitive ways, this process that I begin to share about. And the process is, we have this reckoning moment. The reckoning moment is realizing that we do not get back what we desire to have back. So there's a way of life that's going on. We have some type of traumatic event that happens. The traumatic event causes us a mindset to say, I just want to get back to the way things were. I wish things would just get back to normal. That's not happening. It doesn't happen. I don't get my leg back, right? So we don't get back, say, pre-COVID. We don't get back the things that we desire to have back. Those things are gone. The second thing is, once I realize that and I accept that, I embrace that, now we get into what we call this, Lukas is on, but the device is not connected, so hopefully get the device connected. I see you, but don't see you. So now once we've kind of gone to that reckoning moment, now we get into the transformation. The transformation moment is moving into, okay, we got Lukas back here, so we'll just talk about that. There we go. All right, we're back. Okay, so I'm just finishing up with a little bit of conversation here that Dr. Palmer was asking. And so the transformation moment for us is when we get to this transformation moment. The transformation moment is at a jump, at a hurdle, at pushing across a barrier that's in front of us. And that barrier is a choice that we have to make, and only we can do it. And once we have committed to that barrier, that choice, now we live in the rebirth. And the rebirth is for us to begin to do the hard work to get to a point of resolve. And we can talk and unpack those things later. And once we get to resolve, now we're free to go back and teach other individuals. So Lukas, we were talking a little bit earlier, so thanks for coming back on. I know we had a little technical difficulties. Always seems to be that way. This conversation's got to go out. So thank you for jumping back in. I wanted to, we're talking a little bit about this. I think it was about the commitment. Did you hear the last question? I was trying to So let's just go back to that question. Help me restate it because I can't remember how I phrased it, and then answer it for us.
Well, you mentioned these things in the past that you cannot change. So many things that happen that cuts you down, and that gives you kind of limitations that you cannot change. And so many things happen in ordinary life that gives us limitations, so that we cannot stick to our dream. We cannot use our resources to reach our dream. We need it instead of reaching our dreams. We use it, or we need it to deal with these limitations, with these setbacks, with these negative points in life. And that's for most of the people who do not have the opportunity to be in a Paralympic final. They have to make it for the bus. They have to bring their children to school. They have to get better negotiations for their mortgage and all that stuff, which limitates you. And that's not much fun. That's an ordinary life, which makes it hard to get you the feeling that I'm one of the children of God. So I'm less valid and all these things. And sometimes we have periods in life when you have to stick on these tiny little things that you can change. And it's always the attitude towards the things that happen. And one of the biggest problems that I came across in my life is I am given so much information about the others. I can compare my life to others. And then I could be trapped by the situation. Oh, his life is better. She earns more. She gets more recognition.
Wow.
He's more often booked and all these things. And that's just, it doesn't help. It costs so much energy. And the thing that you mentioned with your protease, I mean, you probably don't know that. The last training before the 200-meter final, my whole protease broke. So during the night, we had to rebuild the whole protease. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, we had it together, and I started to do some trainings. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, we had the Paralympic final for 200 meters. So I didn't sleep. I went through. I mean, a lot of guys in technical sports like Formula One, like stock car, like skiing, like all these things, they deal in the background with a lot of difficulties. And as you mentioned, if you can rely on a team, that is another core issue to me that I had to work on. I know it's a complete jump of subject now, but I had to learn in my team to trust other people and to give faith and confidence and to invite them into my kind of team and to let them grow and to make mistakes and to pay some salary and to build them up so that they can make their steps forward and to take responsibility as an elder statesman, as a parent, as a father, someone who gives other people jobs, or to inspire people like we do. We have a responsibility towards these guys, because when I was younger, when I look back at my life, several times I wouldn't have made it if I was not given the chance by other people to make mistakes. And they paid for it at the beginning. They hold on me, and they gave me a second and sometimes a third chance. And that's a responsibility when you get older, that you have to give young people more often a chance, because young people nowadays, they're so much challenged by things that are not healthy for them. And it's on us to take them by the hand and to lead them towards the good things in life, because temptations are heavy nowadays. Heavy.
Yeah, I think that's, what you're saying, in this is really important. And I hope people out there, you heard what Lukas was saying, in allowing people the latitude and breadth to make mistakes. And I don't know if you know about this, but I was very tired. So hey, I'll go back. I'll say, I wish your prosthesis would have broken in the long jump. I know.
Sorry, John.
No, so I don't know if you knew this, but I was on a mission because I was using everything I knew about track and field. All the what I with the my All-American, going to 2 Olympic trials, and it was in my DNA, in my blood. I knew everything about the sport. So even on the long jump runway, I was timing the wind because the wind was swirling, and I was timing the wind to try to put it in the face of my competitor, right? So I would wait on the long jump runway just a little bit, so I would start my run up, and then hopefully the next person would have the wind in their face. So and so I was timing it. But in the 200 meters, we were supposed to run to eliminate one person, if you remember. And so I went to the Ukraines, and my coach is Ukrainian. His name is Remy Korchimny. And so his Irina Doskovina was over there. And so he aligned me with her so that he could do my final training program with a colleague of his. So Irina she lives in Sydney still right now, I think. So I go to the Ukrainians and I say, look, we're only trying to eliminate one person. And then that person went out. I said, why are we running a 200 meter just to run for placement? That doesn't make sense. Let's just run one time. So let's just eliminate. And so she helped me get to eliminate one, so we didn't have to run 200 meters because I didn't want to run another 200 meter dash, right? It was all about me.
You see,
So hopefully that gave you time to fix the prosthesis so it didn't break during the 200 meters. You could win your gold medal in the 200.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned something that came late to my consciousness. I realized that I need my competitors and I need my opponents, and I wouldn't have be a gold medalist without the guy on second, third, fourth, fifth place. So we need each other. Of course, we live in a very competitive, cold, nasty life. I'm aware of that. And it's for a lot of people, it's not a nice place. And they lose, make second place, are not engaged for a job, are not chosen by someone to get married and all that stuff. But we need each other. At the end, we are all on the same journey. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. Sometimes you are on the sunny side, sometimes not. And when I became champion, it was so important to me to let other people know that I'm thankful and grateful to be given the opportunity to use them as my inspiration. And that's to me one of the big mistakes some rich and successful people make, that they focus on themselves and they stick all the energy on to their own way, and they don't share with the rest of the world, and that makes you unhappy, that makes you lonesome. And that's something when you talk to therapists, psychiatrists, feeling lonesome is terrible, has become a terrible disease because of being in a sick way greedy. I mean, I'm greedy too. I like to win. I like to promote. I like to be chosen for speaker and so on. I like that. But it can be a trap, and to become aware, especially when it's successful, to keep that in mind is something that I become aware of. It's important to my personal development.
Yeah, I think there's healthy competition, and there's destructive competition. I think is what I'm hearing you say, and I agree with that. There's very healthy competition. I think this is how you know this was healthy competition, because we still have friendship.
Yeah. Allow me to ask something, but I'm the one who's interviewed by you. But to me, it would be a real pity if I would not have the opportunity to ask you, to me, the most important question. I mean, I saw you're a terrific athlete, but as a broadcaster, as a speaker, as someone who has made the step, being an inspiration for so many other people, being online now, how did you do that? I mean, I saw you as an athlete, but all of a sudden over the years, I realized that there must have been a call for you that you realized that's my destiny. That's what I'm here for, because I'm amazed by the radiation you create during this broadcast. Where does your inspiration come from, John? Tell us.
Well, easily, my inspiration does come from God. So that is the basis. And so, and I'll tell you the story. Most of the people that are watching have heard me say this time and time again. And so I make no bones about it. It's just a part of who I am, right? It's not, it's how I show up. And I'm not trying to beat somebody over the head with it. It's just how I show up, right? And so what happened was I was going through a veterans business class, and the woman who was leading the class in this particular session, she said, "What's the most important thing in business?" And so some of us were saying, it's the most important thing is clients and contacts, and it's marketing, it's sales. And she was like, nope. And she said, the most important thing, she's like a little Hispanic woman. She's like, no, the most important thing is how you're going to wrap up the business, how you're going to dispose of it, how you're going to lead it off. Are you going to put on the stock exchange? Are you going to, make a franchise? Are you just going to close the shop up? You're going to give it to your children? What are you going to do with it, right? And so I said, that is fantastic. And so what her name is Pat Enriquez, and what she said, what she was saying in that moment was, your business will be successful the way you think about how you close it up. And so that gives you're not thinking about failure at all. You're thinking about, okay, how am I going to get done? So that means you've been successful in it. So it gives a different mindset. Yeah. So then I began to think about that, because it didn't leave me. I began to think about that for the rest of my life. What is it at the end of my life that I desire? And so that was what came to me was, I want to hear my God say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter now into the joy of my rest. And so how I do that? By seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all things shall be added to me. So a part of my DNA was that, my parents, my whole life, I've been kind of brought up in church, or, but it wasn't just church for religious sake. It was really the actual helping and lifting up of others, living your creative purpose. Actually, Dr. Palmer. So the injury was the catalytic moment for me.
Okay.
Because I realized in that moment there were a couple things that happened that I did not know about.
Okay.
The first thing was, I had been kind of leading these Bible studies in the track and field camp. And so some people liked it, some people didn't like it, so whatever, But when the injury happened, the eyewitness report said the first word out of my mouth, my leg was looking like the letter L, the English letter L, was hallelujah. So what is inside of us during our time of testing actually comes out. So that was one. I didn't realize that until like years later, when somebody said, yeah, you changed a lot of people's mindset. The second thing that happened was, I realized quickly my mission in life was not to go to the Olympic Games. That was a focus of mine. And it was also not to go down the pathway of becoming a military officer, which was another focus of mine. There was something greater that was at work. And I began to embrace that very early on. Not to say I didn't go down a downward spiral, because my wife didn't have to help me through that, but she really helped me to see that this new normal mindset can be achieved by every single day. We're just pushing and striving for something, as long as we're in service to other people. And that's the impetus, I think, of everything, the culmination, all the, like you talked, that's why I was digging into what you said about the micro wins, the very small steps. Because if we're faithful over the small things, when the big things happen, it's not as hard to try to overcome what has happened.
Yeah.
And then finally, the third thing is, I realized, Lukas, that I did not overcome what I thought I overcame. I didn't overcome the amputation of my left leg. And that's what most people think. That's what I thought. But it wasn't that, because had I overcome the amputation of my left leg, I'd have my leg back.
I understand completely. I mean, this is similar to two things. Thank you very much for the inspiration. Yeah. To me, I have two things which are really relevant to me. One is Atlanta 96. I was a 3-time Paralympic champion. It was after 6 years of spending so much time, energy, money, commitment to my goal becoming Paralympic champion. And I won it all. I came home. I was celebrated in town. I was in media. I was booked. I had a very beautiful, wonderful, famous girlfriend by that time. We were a dream couple. And after about 3 months of coming home, I came home and she had packed, and she handed me over the key of our flat. And she said, "Lukas, congratulations. You are a champion, but you have not won. You have lost. You have become such an asshole."
Oh.
And I thought, whoa, what went wrong? And 100 days later, she rang me up and she said, let's have a coffee together. And she showed me so many aspects that I have not taken into consideration. Of course, it was important to develop my abilities, to become strong, efficient, successful. But I have forgotten the added value to other people in a higher meaning. And she was not angry. She was not really disappointed. She just said, it took some time for you, that you are open for my words. And I reconsidered my path. And then I realized that more important to me is what I create concerning an added value for others, not only for me. For me, that was the basis. So every people on this planet has to be self-sufficient as much as possible. So you need to build up your life first. That's important because you need that basis. But from that basis on, I started to create a combined added value measurably. So I give some people jobs. I invest in small and middle-sized company. But more, I'm interested in taking every chance to create an added value to other people. And I still competed in Sydney. I improved my profession every day. I tried to become better in business, doing better sales, better marketing, improve my process, invest smarter, and all that stuff. Yeah. Become a professional leader. That's important. On the other hand, do it combined, the added value. Bring it together. But because in the end, and I'm completely with you, twice in my life, I had the situation that I was about to die. And I realized it's my last hour, my last moments. Mm-hmm. And then become aware what it means to hand over an added value to the world and to that what is called your life. That was the inspiration to me. And from that moment on, I realized that it's a combination of creating an added value for yourself on a material basis, but on a personal basis. And on the other hand, do it for the others and combine it, bring it together. And that's, to me, that's my motto, that's my inspiration, and that's what inspires me every day.
That's powerful, and thank you for sharing that, because that vulnerability, I know is going to help. I'm going to lift that piece out right there, because that is going to help so many people. And I think especially today, where we are, some people say we're in a pandemic, some people say we're out of the pandemic, some people say we're not even halfway through the pandemic. So there's lots of thoughts on it, right? And we in America can't even figure out if we want to put on a mask or not. So that's it's kind of a global thing. It's kind of funny to me, actually. But but what you're saying in this moment is that understanding that we have to take responsibility for who we're showing up to be in ourselves and for the lives of other people has to take precedence. And if we are in a moment where what I call the focus of other individuals, and I mean it in this way, other people who are believing for us, believing for you or I, what we can or cannot do, which is based on what they believe they could or could not do if they were in our situation,
Mhm.
then we're really putting ourselves under someone else, someone else's care or concern for us, and they may or may not have the best interest at heart.
Mhm.
And it's the same way with society also, that society can say that people of amputation, we don't want them because they don't think this the right way or something. And so this being Amputee Awareness Month of the month of April is we have to begin to showcase from a very authentic level, from an authentic space, that I know who I am, I know how I'm showing up, and I make no apologies for who I am. And I'm not saying for having negative impact in someone's life, but having positive impact in somebody's life. I don't take apology for that. I know that I can inspire someone to breathe life into someone, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. There's one question to me that I'm interested in talking with you about. I was too shiny. I was too clean for a long period in my life. I was not authentic because sometimes I'm having a bad day. I'm tempted, and sometimes I'm not perfect. I have my abyss. I have my really. I'm aware of my dark side of the moon, and from time to time I allow myself that I call it my personal disgrace. And I know in certain moments that I feel it coming. So I'm going to be wrong in the next situation. Probably I'm going to hurt people. Probably I'm going to crush situations. And I have to allow myself not being perfect. And that takes off a lot of load of my shoulders because they think, okay, he's an inspirational speaker. He knows what it's all about. He's so positive all the time.
Yeah.
And that made me kind of not authentic. It's not realistic being perfect all the time. So I had the opportunity to meet and to work with a Hollywood star once, and in these 3 sessions, she told me that what people want to see in her makes her sick sometimes because she plays a role, but that's not the person she is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with me. I'm on my way. I make mistakes. Sometimes I have to ask for forgiveness because I know I did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And just allow myself and love yourself being normal and kind of, okay, I'm having my bad days sometimes.
Yeah.
And leaders sometimes tell me, I'm leading 1, 2, 3,000 people, or I'm a daddy, or I'm a speaker, I'm an anchorman in a broadcast, and I'm supposed to be perfect, and that is just not. That's not human. That's an important aspect to me. I don't know how you are dealing with it in your coachings, but sometimes it's. People are too loose in working on their character, but you can be too tight on it. And to find that good balance is something that's important to me. I don't know how you are dealing with it. What are you going to do when you're having a bad day?
I'm perfect, Lucas.
How can I forget that? Man, kick me out of the broadcast.
What your friend said to you is so true, that there is a persona that people believe that you're the standard, when we all have fallacies, we all have flaws. And the faster we realize, as you said, that we have the flaws and we're not perfect people, the better we can be. We humanize ourselves to our audience. It is why I will always introduce myself and make kind of light of some of the things in my life in my introduction, so that they're not seeing me as John Register athlete. Maybe it's John Register musician. Maybe it's John Register, State Department sports envoy, global, administrator. So something else besides just the athleticism. And then in the storyline, I make sure I go first. So I share my shortcomings and what it meant. So, for example, I will share that I thought my wife was going to leave me. Well, that's not on her. That's on me. It's on me. And here's why it's on me, because that is selfish of me to think that she might do something like that. So who told me that? Who did I listen to let me believe that just because I've lost a leg, she's now going to leave? How shallow is that?
Yeah.
What it means, what I'm really saying is myself. Am I still desirable? Do I still have value? And why don't I think I have value just because I'm missing this one leg? So that's, I think, is where we are in the space of having to authenticate who we are to other individuals, for them to say, oh, he or she is just like, or they are just like myself. They struggle too. And it's important, even in social media, to make sure you're putting up your failure so people can see the journey. So like, right now, like, I'm heavy. I say I used to be a long jumper. Now I'm a short jumper, right?
You just dropped. You mentioned an important point. That is, I was not aware of for many years. It's people are often kind of scared of being left behind and being abandoned, being someone leaves you, and the first reaction is, am I not good enough? Am I not worthy being living with, and all that stuff? And I have it was necessary for me to learn it's not on me. It's because that person wants to go his or her own way for some time, just to recover, just to make own experience. It's not on me. And sometimes people leave me and go their own path, or do not choose me for any kind of purpose. And my first reaction was, oh, am I not good enough? What was missing? Nothing was missing.
Nothing.
Okay, you cannot be chosen every time. And even the people who love you most sometimes need some time for themselves.
Yeah.
And then I realized that's another step towards freedom.
Yeah.
And in business, it's horrible because we need to make some money to pay our bills. And if you go through a bad period and you're not chosen, and customers leave you and they choose your competitors, it's important to realize that maybe you're not worse than others, and maybe others are not better than you. It's just the way things sometimes go.
Yes.
And that's an important lesson to me, because when I coach people in business, especially young people, they have difficulties in accepting that others are chosen, and they do not get so many likes, and they do not get so much recognition, and that life can be completely okay that way. That's one of the hardest lessons I have to learn.
I'm speaking about that tonight on likes and Facebook and things like that to a group of young people. So it's funny that you bring that up. The underlying, we'll close with this. I want to bring on Lesia Malcolm, who just made a comment and honor the folks that have been on with us today. Is Maslow's laws, kind of the hierarchy of needs, right? And we have food, shelter, clothing, kind of at the bottom. But really underneath all of that is belonging. We all want to feel as if we belong. And when that is threatened, we will do everything in our power to stay in that belonging state. We will fight. We will claw for belonging, because I don't want to feel as if I am on the outside of that. So Lesia Malcolm, she's up in Canada. I believe she's up in Canada. It's a lot of pressure to carry. As a leader and as a positive person, people often expect us to be happy all the time. The reality is that we are human. And then she goes on to say transparency and authenticity is vital. So just, echoing what you have said, Lesia says this, and it's true, that we want this belonging, and our mindset has to be there. So I really want to thank you, Lukas, for being on and for your persistence and your perseverance as we try to get this show going. Even during the show, we had the difficulty, right? So something's happening, and I think this is why this conversation is so valuable. So thank you, everybody, for being on, and thank you. Do you have any kind of last comments, any thoughts of what you would like to share, and just to kind of elevate the audience, and then share, where people can find you? And then Dr. Palmer also says, so true, Alicia. So we got great people meeting online. I love it. So that yes. So thank you. So anything that you have that you would like, how do people get a hold of you in Switzerland and book you? And
Sorry, we had a technical difficulty. Could you repeat again?
Oh yes, for sure. I said, how do people get a hold of you? If there's any last comments that you have to share before I kind of wrap our interview up.
Yeah, I mean, Switzerland is a small country, and we're so tight together that we oversee sometimes the pearls. And we have so many great speakers, great trainers in Switzerland. And to find that pearl is something you do by heart, by intuition. That's something I would recommend to everyone who was listening to our broadcast. Try to stick to your intuition, and then you find the real pearls in life, either in life or in love or in business or wherever. And that brings you closer to where we all come from. And as I'm doing these speeches in English too, I can go to the UK, I will come over to the US, and whoever wants to talk to me easily over my website, just choose Lukas Christen in Switzerland. It's in German, but as soon as you call me, we can have the chats and the talks in English. John, it was a pleasure and a privilege to be on your broadcast. I hope we will repeat that once again, and I hope it will not last 8 years until we get together.
Well, we will be on, because we're going to continue to do work, and I have some thoughts about how we can actually work together, collaborate, and maybe get our Victor on as well, who was the bronze medalist, and maybe there's a great conversation we can have with him also. So thank you. Hold on for a second. Well, I'll just close the show out here. I want to just be respectful and honor and thank Lukas for being on. Wow, what a great conversation that we had, even though we had a few technical difficulties. I mean, I took away a lot of things. As you see me looking away, I'm always on my iPad, just kind of gleaning from the foot of the champion. Be stubborn in your vision, he says. Stay realistic as well. You use your intuition and inspiration as well as your intellect to get to where you want to go. Before the 200-meter, his prosthetic broke. I didn't even realize that. And so he had to rely on his team and trust that they could actually do the work to get him back up so he could win the gold medal in that one. So trust other people. Allow others to make mistakes. I love that. Be thankful and grateful and build up your life and have that basis for that. So I want to just thank once again Lukas Christen for being on. I want to thank What's Up Dr. Palmer on. I thank you so much for being on. Ligia Malcolm, thank you for being on as well. I really appreciate you both and making comments in there. That really does make the show move forward, and we can have, pull some of those comments that you have up and then make comments onto the social media networks. All right, so what's upcoming for me? Got a lot of stuff tonight. I'm going to be speaking over at a local high school. I get a chance to speak to them and their what they are doing as far as their sports award show. We had the Ellen show. The Ellen show called off. Yes, thanks, Alicia. Alicia, he did have some amazing points. So the Ellen show called, and we worked with a young woman, Christy Hohen, on her speaking profession, and as she's going through that journey, it was great. And so some of the things you just kind of say yes to, just open up doors and opportunities. So make sure that one of our models, one of our values, I should say, is at Inspired Communications, is to have a hard yes versus an easy no. Just don't say no right away. Just say, how can you make this work? And so that's what we do there. So I say to everyone that's out there to make sure you're following this channel, subscribe to this channel wherever you're listening from, and know that we usually are on Thursday mornings, but because we just had technical difficulty, I was determined to get this one out. So I wanted to make sure that we did it, so we did it on Friday. Maybe I'll switch it to Friday, who knows? But we always talk about the go forth, inspire your world, one of our kind of outros that we always say. Why? Because go is our command. Forth is our direction. Inspire is our vocation. Your, because only you can do this work, and world, because it's your sphere of influence. My name is John Register, and for the New Normal Mindset podcast, we're saying go forth and inspire your world, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.